each year we have rookies who play big parts for your fantasy team.
That's right.
Think about Justin Jefferson that one year, Jamar Chase the year after. How about Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Brees Hall last year? What we want to do today is give you some names of players that you should draft because we believe they could have a big impact here as a rookie in year one. So do us a favor, go ahead and drop a like to show some love. Subscribe if you like fantasy football. And hey, if there's a rookie that you love in particular, go ahead and pause the video, comment, tell us who it is. Maybe we're going to talk about them here now. And hey, by the way, do you want an upper hand on your fantasy leagues, best ball, whatever the case may be? Then go ahead and sign up to Flock Fantasy with our code LAND, L-A-N-D. That will get you 30% off your membership. If you choose a mother flocker tier, Badake and I are going to be looking at your fantasy teams as well and giving advice.
Come on, baby.
Okay, so we're going to give 5 rookies. And I think from the get-go, Badake, we should just state that the easiest names we could have brought to you guys today, and names that go without saying, is Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, right? I feel like we could have brought you those 3 names. It would have been a good video, but I feel like they're very obvious. So we wanted to kind of dive in a little bit deeper and look at other rookies that could be really good for your fantasy team this year. So the first player that I will have a lot of stock of is Devon Achane. Currently on Underdog, he's the RB39. He is my RB37 in my ranking, so I'm a little bit higher on him. But each year, you want to identify rookie running backs who have clear pathway to opportunity. Last year, the only thing Dameon Pierce had to do to win opportunities was beat out Marlon Mack, the ghost of Marlon Mack, and we could all recognize that, and a lot of people got value from it. This year, Devon Achane, his only competition at the moment is a 31-year-old Raheem Mostert who has been injured for 50+% of his games since 2020. Jeff Wilson, who at best is a nice role player. Now, obviously, if Dalvin Cook does sign in Miami, we need to drastically change our expectations. However, Devon Achane's ADP right now at this very moment is a reflection of the community's worries that Cook will sign in Miami. So if you're drafting him right now, I believe you could be getting him at a discount. Because if Cook signs anywhere else, we will see Devon's ADP rise ultimately. It will. Like, that is kind of the hold right now. You are playing this risk-reward game. If Dalvin comes, okay, yeah, he's probably not worth RB37. If Dalvin doesn't come, you just got him at a steal, in my opinion. So if you look at this running back room, and this is the room that they go into the year with, Devon, both as a pass catcher and a rusher, from day one has a chance to be heavily involved. And that's because he is the perfect fit in this offense. Like, the perfect fit. I liked Devon Achane on our Dynasty channel. I kind of stood alone. There was like one place, Badake, that I kept saying, if he lands here, it's the perfect fit, and that was Miami. All the stars aligned for him. He went to Miami. While undersized, his game is perfectly fit to the Mike McDaniel system. It's all about speed, speed, speed in Miami, getting people the ball in space and letting them operate. Mike McDaniel, here's a quote from Devon Achane about McDaniel. He says, and the offense, he says, it's going to be a really scary offense. We're all pretty fast. It's going to be very competitive in practice. I talked to Mike McDaniel, and he wants to build the fastest team in the NFL. And then he says, with my ability, he knows what to do with it. Then we get a quote from Mike McDaniels, who, by the way, guys, it was reported multiple times by different sources that Devon Achane was his #1 target in the entire draft. They had to tell him in the second round, calm down. Like, Devon will be there in the 3rd round. He will be there. This is what McDaniel had to say about it. They said, what do you like about him? Speed. We generally like that around here. That running back group for us is very important, and we found a person who fits the skill set we like, but someone who also fits in the room. So this team's main goal since Mike McDaniels took over in 2022 is to get explosive, speedy athletes in space. Guess what Devon Achane is? An explosive, speedy athlete who operates really well in space. I have no doubt that Mike knows exactly what to do with him. And something that I believe a lot of people are underlooking about Achane's game is his pass-catching ability. I personally believe that this is one of the most underrated parts of his game. He has the chops to be an elite pass-catching running back in the NFL. Does it happen year one? Maybe not. But I'm telling you, it's in the bag. It's in his skill sets. Look at this. He had 299 snaps where he ran a receiving route last year in college. That was 5th of 168 running backs in college football who had a minimum of 100 attempts. 48.7% of his total snaps last year, he was running a receiving route. He will be involved in the air. Look, if you're playing a standard league, don't get Devon Achane, but come on, you're living in the Stone Age if you're playing in standard. Most of us are in PPR at this point. I think he could be a really nice asset in PPR, and specifically best ball. You should have zero concerns drafting him in best ball because you don't need to know when to start him. You just need the lineups to be set for you when he goes off, and that's exactly what happens in best ball. And specifically for you guys who are in best ball tournaments, I love his Week 17 matchup. He faces the Ravens in Week 17, and I think that could be an absolute shootout, which means that there could be players putting up big points from that game. Achane could be a part of that. So I'm a big fan of Devon Achane. Again, right now, I see potential for him to be a top 24 running back this year. If Dalvin comes to this team, we have to adjust expectations. But again, there's this risk reward in this part of the offseason where you can get an advantage with teams and it pays off later, or it's a risk that you ultimately shouldn't have made. So you have to make that decision yourself, but I'm making it right now in a lot of my leagues.
Yeah. You look, Devin is a guy that I've kind of been up and down. I kind of more steering towards I'm avoiding him. But yeah, a lot of things really now relies on if this offense brings in anyone else. Right now, if Dalvin is not there, then I don't think they're going to bring in anyone else like a Lenny or Zeke or all those other guys. But yeah,
Devin those guys really don't fit their
exactly.
Offense.
So definitely
Let's get the slowest guys we could right now.
Yeah, an interesting perspective there and for Devin. So my first guy that is a rookie. He's also Devon. Yeah, by the way, it's Devon, not Devin. My first guy that I am bringing today is also a running back, and his name is Tank Bigsby. Look, underdog ADP RB 46. He is my RB 39 right now, and let's clear the air, right? I am an Etienne believer. I am somebody who believes Etienne is going to be getting the workload. He is going to be carrying every single opportunity. He's going to be getting all the opportunities in the air as well. Now, is Tank going to have a role? Absolutely. It's not going to be the role that I think the community that we've seen so much saying, well, Tank is going to have a 50% workload. Tank is going to take over Etienne's whole opportunity. There has been a narrative out there that Tank could be that guy. For me, it's not that. And I would say it's safe to say Zach does not believe that either. Once again, Tank will have a role, but I do believe it'll probably be in maybe the 30-35% role when you really think about it. And that is already gracious that I'm giving him right there, okay? So one of the reasons why I want to have him on, why I believe you should be drafting him, especially in best ball and your redraft leagues. And number one, I think this could be a running back by committee. And a running back by committee could mean 70% to Etienne, where the rest goes to Tank. It doesn't have to be 50-50. There can be some sort of rotation. There can be some sort of, divvying up. Once again, at least 30 to 35% of the workload that's going to be taken away from Etienne. That's not even going to be, I would say, too much from his workload. And another thing is, we have seen the history with Doug Peterson. As much as, this is probably the best running back he has had. This is probably the best offense and team he's had as well. But this is a running back committee that he has essentially stepped into, right? He didn't draft Travis Etienne. He drafts Tank Bigsby because he wants the depth. He knows how to run with multiple running backs. And I brought this before in one of our past videos on our Dynasty channel. But if you see the history, you could probably see on your screen from 2017 and the touches. I'm not going to really go through it, but you can see the touches, how they're kind of divvied up from LeGarrette Blount, Cole, Jair Alexander, right? And going through 2018 with the touches, how they're all divvied up by each and every single running back. In 2019, same thing even with Miles Sanders. We've seen multiple years where Doug Peterson has shown a running back by committee. Now, that does not mean Tank is going to take over the workload. So keep that clear. It doesn't mean that he is going to get 50+% of the workload. I'm just bringing you the history, saying like, you know what? I still believe in Etienne, but hey, I think I'm believing in Tank as well because of the history that I am bringing you here today. Okay, so keep that in mind. I also believe Tank brings something a little bit different. He brings a little bit more power, a little bit more nasty, a little bit more goal line opportunities here for this offense. Look, as much as you can really look at the weights here. You know, Travis Etienne 215, Tank Bigsby 215, but they're two different run styles. When you think of Tank and you see him and you look at his college highlights or his college gameplay, you say, dang, that's a Tank. He's running strong. He's running hard. Travis Etienne does that a little bit differently. He's a little bit more elusive. He's a little bit more, he makes himself smaller in spaces. He has a better burst, right? Tank brings something different to this offense that I do believe the Jacksonville Jaguars need, especially on short yardage and goal line usage. And second, to be completely honest, I think he could be one of the best handcuffs and is one of the best handcuffs in the NFL right now, stepping into this offense. Tank, or Travis Etienne, when you think about it, last year, the year before, technically his rookie year, he missed all his time with the Liz Frank injury. That's a pretty severe injury. Sometimes those things come up. Maybe he has another injury, but just like any other running back, you want to get their handcuff. And if Travis Etienne does go down, you know who can handle the workload on the ground and in the air? That's Tank Bigsby. We've seen that both in college. Well, we've seen it in college, just not both in college. We haven't seen it in the NFL yet. So look, this is a low risk, high reward type play. A guy that, once again, I'm projecting at least 30 to 35% workload, whether that's on the ground or in the air. And if Etienne does go down, Tank Bigsby can step into that role. So I really like Tank Bigsby here. Once again, low risk, high reward type of pick.
Yeah. I think you mentioned it in your take already. You just finished it with it. For me, the intrigue is if an injury happens. Mm-hmm. He's a very good handcuff. He's a league-winning handcuff, let's say, if there was some sort of serious injury to Travis Etienne. As an Etienne truther, y'all know where I stand with Etienne, like Badake said, but I think you're right. There's a lot of value in a handcuff there with a young, explosive running back in Tank. Okay, the second player I'm going to bring to you guys today, and I'm reaching deep into the bag.
You got to go deep.
I'm not, the top looks nice, but I'm trying to reach deep into the bag, deep into the ADP, and find you some potential value here. So hang in with me, because you might not even have heard of this name, unless you're in Dynasty. That is Green Bay Packers wide receiver Jayden Reed.
Oh boy.
Current ADP on Underdog is wide receiver 70. He is my wide receiver 66. By the way, if you're not on Underdog yet, and maybe you want to draft with us in best ball, drafts in some tournaments and some best ball leagues, then go ahead and use our code LAND when signing up to Underdog. You'll get 100% of your deposit matched. So if you deposit $100, you get $100 using our code. There's a pinned comment where you can find a direct link to sign up. Really fun. And DM us. We'll tell you the next time we're going to go live and you can draft with us on Underdog. But look, Jayden Reed, he is out of the wide receivers who were drafted in the second round in this year's draft. He is the clear, obvious name that will instantly start. A lot of those names we're not sure of. What will happen with Mingo? He probably won't start day one, right? What about Marvin Mims, right? What about Rashee Rice? It's unlikely that those guys start day one, week one. Whereas for Jayden Reed, he will, I believe, 100%. And it's being reported. He will start instantly out of the slot for this team. We're already getting reports out of camp that he has been running with the ones early on out of the slot. Now, in two wide receiver sets, you probably got Watson, you probably got Dobbs, but in any sort of set that includes a slot receiver, Jayden is going to be your starter this year, which makes a ton of sense because who the hell is going to start in the slot if not Jayden Reed? Honestly, is Samori Toure going to be the starter now? Malik Heath, Dontavion Wicks, their sixth round pick? Nah, I mean, come on. Those guys aren't starting. The guy they drafted in the second round is going to start. And he has experience in the slot as well. He played at Western Michigan and Michigan State in his collegiate career. And here's how he lined up during his 4-year career. 49.6% in the slot and 49.9% out wide. So he has experience in both areas. He's a shifty, versatile player who has the route running chops to start from day one. That's what a lot of people loved about him. That's what a lot of GMs loved about him. And you saw that with the day 2, round 2 draft capital. Keep in mind, guys, Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb are gone. They're not on this team anymore. So you don't have to worry about Allen Lazard or Randall Cobb. There's more opportunities for this young wide receiver core to excel. And after all, this is Jordan Love's first year as a starter. Christian Watson's going to be electric, but Jayden Reed can act as the safety blanket over the middle of the field in the slot for his young, inexperienced quarterback. Secondly, let's talk about the draft capital. Last year, and just to give you an example of this team, its current regime, not being afraid to use rookies. Last year, we know what Christian Watson did, right? He was electric as a rookie. But also, after week 2, Romeo Doubs, who was a late 4th round pick, had a 71.8% snap share as a rookie in games when he was healthy. Meanwhile, you have Jaden Reed, who was drafted 2 whole rounds earlier, same as Christian Watson, actually, and was selected ahead of big names like Rashee Rice, Marvin Mims, Jalen Hyatt, Michael Wilson, Cedric Tillman. If you're in Dynasty, you know those names. This team is young. They're very young, and they are very willing to put young players out there and see what sort of core can come together. There's no Devontae Adams on this team that has a hold over the target share, right? There's no Devontae Adams. There's no Tyreek Hill. There's no Stephon Diggs. There's just, oh, that guy's getting 150 targets. We think Christian Watson's probably getting 110, 120, but what about outside of him, right? Who's going to dominate? So there's a lot of opportunities for these young guys to step up and show out. And thirdly, my expectations are low. That's why I'm saying I'm reaching into my bag. But so is his ADP. Look at the other names that are being drafted around Jaden Reed right now. Would you rather have DJ Shark in Carolina? Would you rather have Tyquan Thornton with the Patriots? Donovan Peoples-Jones? Maybe some of you would rather bet on a rookie tight end Sam Laporta. Not me. How about Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill? I mean, this is not a risky pick. The unknowns of this offense and what Jordan Love could be make Jaden Reed one of my favorite risk-reward picks in fantasy drafts right now. So, again, low expectations, but the ADP is so friendly that you don't need to worry about expectations. Just draft him, and then you never know what can happen. You'll find out pretty soon as well. That's what's great. You'll find out pretty soon if he's going to be good and involved.
Yeah, exactly. I think for the ADP, with low risk, high reward, they're stepping into a good opportunity there with Jaden Reed, without a doubt, especially in the slot. Opportunity, so much opportunities in slot wide receivers as well, so don't keep that in mind. Yeah, love it. All right, My second and last player, well, technically not last player, we'll get to the other guy soon. Yeah. But my second player on my list here, and that is my guy. That is Quentin Johnston. And look, on Underdog, he's wide receiver 42. He's my ranking 38. And actually, maybe for the redraft channel, you guys don't know, Quentin Johnston is my wide receiver 1 coming out of college, out of this class. I love Quentin. I love everything he can do. I do believe he can be an elite wide receiver, and he lands on one of the best offenses with the Los Angeles Chargers. So definitely keep that in mind. But just to give you a little bit of history there. But why you should have money in your team, and I think a lot of people really understand why, right? I mean, this is an injury-prone wide receiver group, right? With Mike Evans and Keenan Allen, and yes, they have specifically this past year have missed a ton of time. When you look into it, Keenan Allen in 2022 missed 7 games, and he's 31 years old. I know in redraft and that perspective doesn't really matter, but as the older you get, the longer it takes to really come back from these injuries. And the same thing with Mike Williams, missed 4 games last year, 28 years old. He's kind of always been up and down, missing time, really hasn't getting his feet wet in the offense until really Justin Herbert came around, which really helped him. But to be completely honest, if Mike Williams and or Keenan Allen goes down, Quentin is easily stepping up. He was a first-round draft pick this past year. And I know you're probably saying, what about Josh Palmer? I love Josh. Josh. Who the hell is Josh? What am I, from Boston now? Josh Palmer. I love Josh Palmer, and I like everything that he has done so far in stepping into this offense. But Quentin Johnston, once again, a first-round draft pick that is going to be this guy in this offense if or when Mike Evans or Keenan Allen does go down, especially with the ADP when you really compare all the
Mike Williams, by the way. Mike Evans.
Mike Evans, Mike Williams. Especially with the ADP, when you really look at the ADPs, obviously Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are higher. Mike Williams are higher. Wide receiver 19 for Keenan Allen is going in the 3rd round. Wide receiver 25 in the 4th round. But Quentin Johnston here, who could step into that wide receiver 1 role, going in the 7th round. And now that may be a little bit high for everyone, but if we are really betting and banking on these wide receivers to miss some time, I think once again Quentin can easily step in to an offense that is high powered, which brings me to my second point. This offense is good. Let's be completely honest. We all know this offense. Justin Herbert knows how to spread the ball around. He's not a ball hog he's not somebody that only targets one person. He knows how to give people, and it gives them what they need, right? This past year, 2nd in passing attempts, 3rd in passing yards. And let me tell you, that is going to be even better now with this offensive coordinator coming from the Dallas Cowboys and Kellen Moore. And if you really look at it and break it down since 2019, when Kellen Moore really took over this offense for the Dallas Cowboys, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it was 2019. I had a look, but I couldn't really say it. But still, how this offense was operating with the Dallas Cowboys, and now Kellen Moore coming into the Chargers. And you kind of compare it to all these other offensive coordinators for the Chargers who have been up and down. 2019, six in points per game versus 21st for the Chargers. In 2020, obviously that was the year Dak Prescott got injured, but in those first 5 weeks, they were third in points per game versus 18 points per game for the Chargers. 2021, first in points per game for the Chargers. For the Cowboys, fifth in points per game for the Chargers. In 2022, fourth in points per game versus 12th in points per game. This offense is going to get better, especially with Quentin Johnson there. And this offense is already elite and deadly with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, and now Quentin Johnson. They're going to bring him in. They brought him in for one, to develop, but one of the things is to also stretch the field. I know you have Mike Williams there, but he also brings another threat of versatility. He can play the slot, he can play the outside, and we've seen that in college, and we're going to see that here with the Los Angeles Chargers. So I am in love with Quentin Johnson. I think he is a good, if you have Justin Herbert and you're trying to get stacks and you weren't able to get Keenan or Mike, grab Quentin, see what happens. See if you can get that stack here, especially in the second half of the season, where a lot of these guys either miss time and or don't. You see these rookie wide receivers really take over for their offense. I like Quentin in the 7th round.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson, definitely an intriguing player if things go right. We have one last player we're going to bring to you guys on today's video. I guess you can call it an honorable mention. It's more of an obvious name, but we're both in agreement. And that is Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
We both really, really like Jordan Addison this year. Currently being drafted as a wide receiver 37 and underdog. He is my wide receiver 29. But Aki, where does Jordan Addison rank for you?
He's my wide receiver 30, right? Or sorry, he's my wide receiver 28. I'm actually higher than you.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like I've been more vocal, but you're even higher on him in your rankings.
Yeah.
But look, this is one of the league's highest passing volume offenses, unquestionably. Since Kevin O'Connell arrived, it's been one of the highest. They were top 3 in attempts per game last year, top 3 in yards per game.
Mm-hmm.
You get rid of your franchise running back. You add a wide receiver in the first round. They're going to keep to that identity. Kirk Cousins is going to throw a lot of balls, and Addison is going to step into those 107 vacated targets from Adam Thielen and play an important role from day one.
Exactly.
So I would not be surprised if Jordan Addison finishes his rookie season with at least 115 targets, like somewhere around that.
Yeah, and we've seen that, kind of like you already alluded to and mentioned, Adam Thielen really vacating here. Not only him, but Dalvin Cook. You can kind of see those targets really distribute out to anyone in this offense. I'm not saying, Alexander Madison can't get all the targets and opportunity from Dalvin Cook, but I think he's going to have to get his feet wet a little bit. This is his first time really truly carrying a workload for a full season and really understanding that. And Jordan Addison coming in, already having the work in college, knowing how to handle that workload, maintain that workload, being an elite wide receiver 1A coming into this offense here with Justin Jefferson. No doubt he's going to be seeing 100+ targets for this offense. And Kirk Cousins, another guy that knows how to spread the ball around, especially what we see with Justin Jefferson, TJ, and now Jordan Addison. So I'm excited for this guy.
So those are 5 names, guys. Again, we could have said Bijan, could have said probably Anthony Richardson, could have said, a lot of different names, but we wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper. So drop a like on the video to show some love. Subscribe if you like fantasy football. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.